Hi, this is Brett Ingram, award-winning entrepreneur, and today I want to share with you 9 biggest mistakes in creating digital products and how to avoid them. So, digital products can be a great source of online income. There's no wonder why people want to be able to create digital products. And when I say digital products, really any of them. It could be software, it could be a video course, it could be an e-learning guide, whatever it is. But basically it's a product that exists in a digital format that can be downloaded or accessed in a members area or whatever. And so there's a lot of appeal to be able to create a digital product. First of all, we can sell virtually unlimited copies, right? And there's no additional cost, right? The variable cost is very low. Unlike manufacturing, if we're selling microphones, every time we sell a microphone, we might make some profit, but there's a cost associated with it, and there's a process associated with creating that. With a digital product, it's create once, profit a gazillion times. Now, you might need to make updates to it or edits to it or things like that, but the lion's share of the work gets done up front. And then once it's done, we're all set to go. So it's no wonder that having digital products is very appealing. But that said, a lot of times when people set out to create digital products, what ends up happening is they spend a lot of time, they spend a lot of effort, only to find that the product they create, they can't make any money with. And it generally falls into one of 9 different categories in terms of the reasons that that happens. So we want to be able to create digital products, but we want to be able to do it in a way that's profitable. I can tell you that I've created 50 plus digital products over the last, 10 plus years, 15 plus years, and they've all been profitable. The various levels of profitability may change. Some have been extremely profitable and done really well. Others were disappointing or didn't do what I had hoped, but at the same time, when it's done, it can be very effective. And I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. I've actually created some products that could have been much better, or maybe I shouldn't never have created in the first place. And I've created some products that knocked it out of the park. And so I wanted to share some experience and some knowledge that I've gained in terms of what to do and what not to do when we're trying to create digital products that we can sell online. But the fact is, it could be a complex process, or it could be very simple. But there are a lot of different stages, there are a lot of different elements of it, and there are a lot of different factors that make something successful or lack thereof. So here are some of the biggest mistakes that people make when we're trying to create digital products. The first one, which is probably the most important, is not understanding the market need. If we don't have a clear idea of what the market wants, then it's very difficult to create a product that's going to fill that need. In general, the way products become successful is they fill a need that's going unfulfilled in a market. So if there's a particular audience and there's an issue that they have, and there's a way that can be remedied or fixed, and we can do it with software, or we can do it with a digital course, or we can do it with an ebook, or whatever it is, then people are likely to buy it. I remember when I used to do some more products and launches on ClickBank, and one of the things that always amazed me is some of the products and the amount of sales they had made for just being a guide, basically like an ebook with information about something. And they wouldn't just sell like at a launch, they would sell and sell and sell. And some of these would sell like 100,000 copies in a year, and they've been doing it for 5 years in a row. And you say to yourself, that's amazing. To not only have a product that's going to sell that much, but sell that much every single year. And I remember one in particular, it was something about six-pack abs, six-pack abs secrets or something like that. And it was like the #1 fitness or whatever it was category on ClickBank product. And it was like a $20 or $30 ebook, and they had a funnel built into it. So obviously they were making more than $20 or $30 a sale. But it amazed me that this person was able to put together this one guide and be able to sell that many over and over. Clearly, what they understood really well is they understood the market need. They understood that there were a lot of people looking for how to create six-pack abs. And so it absolutely crushed it. I wonder if it's still selling. I don't know. It might be, it might not be, but it was super successful. One of the most fundamental mistakes is developing a product without a clear understanding of the market. We get an idea for a product and we don't really know whether there's a demand for it. We don't judge that. We don't assess that. We just get this idea and we think, okay, now that I have an idea of how I can make something, I'm just going to go make it. And then I'll worry about selling it later. And that's actually getting the process in reverse. What we want to do first is we want to identify what the need is. We want to identify what would sell if we had it. If I knew I had X, I could sell a gazillion copies of this. Then we want to go create it, not the reverse. But unfortunately, what most people do is the reverse. They feel like they have an idea for a product, so they create it. And that is their focus, is the product creation. And they feel as though once this product is created, now I'm at the mountaintop. Nothing could be further from the truth. Creating the product is not the biggest problem or the biggest challenge. It's actually marketing it and making it sell. And so we need a problem in the market that we can solve with our product. And that's super, super important. Otherwise, we may create products that don't meet any real user needs and people don't really want it. The second problem, and this is one I've been guilty of myself, and it's a very easy trap to fall into, and it's related, is falling in love with our product instead of our customer. Once we get an idea for a product, oftentimes what happens is we go full steam ahead. So maybe we've even done step one correctly. Maybe we've even identified, hey, there's a need for this, right? But then when we start to create the product, we lose sight of the customer. We lose sight of the market. And what we do is we get so invested in our product that we start thinking about all the ways we could make it better and all the stuff that we could do and all the features we could add without vetting at each stage whether or not those are things that we even need to have in the product or that people even care about. I remember talking to one of my colleagues years ago at an event. And he was very popular for his list building products back in the day. So he made a lot of these products that were about building a list and doing it in an automated way. And he had some pretty clever products. And he had a couple that absolutely crushed it. And then he decided, because he had these products about list building that were doing so well, he'd create sort of the granddaddy of products. Like he put all the features into this thing and he went above and beyond and make it this really, and everything else. It had all the features and it did all the stuff the other products did too. And he went to launch it and it absolutely failed. And he was absolutely dumbfounded. He couldn't figure out what went wrong. It wasn't until when he went back after he had emotionally detached from it, went back and looked at it, that he realized what the problem was. The product itself was great. It actually even filled customer needs. The problem was he was so invested in the product itself that he made it so complicated. And what he didn't realize is it was the fact that the other ones were so easy that made them so popular, not because they had every feature under the sun. When you go to buy a stereo and the person starts talking and you just want to listen to music in your house, and the person starts talking to you about this graphic equalizer's got like advanced 8-bit processing and 64-bit, and you don't know what that is, your eyes glaze over and you're just like, it's a little overwhelming. You know what, maybe I'll just get this little radio over here instead. They're in love with it, but unfortunately it doesn't translate. So we don't want to fall in love with our product. We want to make sure we're always focused on what our customer wants and falling in love with them and saying, is our customer going to go, wow, this is awesome? Or are they going to be confused or overwhelmed by it? A third thing, and this again is related, but it's super important because these are the foundation for creating digital products that sell. It's ignoring user feedback or failing to get it, right? If we don't collect user feedback, we put ourselves in our little echo chamber and we start to create our product and we get excited. So we're like, all right, pull back the curtain, hide. Let's hide back in our office here. Let's create this product. And when it's ready, we'll reveal it to the world. Unfortunately, while that sounds like a really good idea, what we're really doing when we do that is we're rolling the dice or flipping the coin. It may or may not be successful. what smart people do when they're creating products. And by the way, I've done that a number of times as well. So all these things I'm sharing with you are mistakes that I've made. So hopefully you won't. But the best way to do it is to get a focus group or a beta testing group involved in the development process. Get them in early. Give them access to it. Let them tell us what's good, bad, and ugly. So as we're developing it, we focus on all the stuff that matters most to our users, and we avoid wasting time and money on stuff that doesn't matter. So often, features and things that we think are important in our product, if we survey our customers, they don't even care about it. I've done things where I've focused and spent an extra month of development on a feature, and when I poll people after they're using my product, even if it's successful, that feature nobody even cares about. What a waste of a month. What a waste of all that development money. If instead I got people in there and got them using it, and they told me, do this, do that, do this, do that, then I could have just done all the things that matter, that are going to give me a return on my investment. So failing to collect or adequately respond to user feedback is a big mistake. We can't be ego-driven, where we're so attached to our product that we can't hear any criticism and that we reject what people say as like insufficient or inadequate or they don't know what they're talking about. They do. They're the only ones who know what they're talking about because they're the customer. And if they don't want the product, it doesn't matter how great it is. So the fact of the matter is we've got to get people into the feedback loop early in the process. So that way they can give us the answers to the test and we can create the stuff that we need. So we're getting continuous feedback and we're iterating products based on that and improving them along the way. The fourth issue, which again, you're going to notice is somewhat related, is a poor user experience or design. A great product with a clunky interface or software that doesn't work or an ebook that's really confusing is very frustrating to people, and most people will give up. We live in a society now in a day and age where everyone wants instant gratification. They want stuff to work out of the box. I remember reading some case studies about some software launches and things, and it always amazed me that people would get free access to something and they would complain almost in a sense of entitlement, like they were irate that somebody would dare give them a product that wasn't complete and ready to go with all these other features. It was free. It was free. And they're complaining about it. Somebody had to spend money to create this, gave it to them for free, and they're still complaining about it. But that is the reality that we live in. If we create something amazing, we'll be rewarded. Tons of people will buy it. But if we create something that's poor, we're going to get hammered, even if we give it away. So it has to be something that people can use. If you've ever bought anything yourself, you know this to be true. You're combing through the frequently asked questions and the support links and the knowledge base on someone's site trying to figure out how to use the product, and you finally just give up. You're like, forget this. It's too annoying. So even if it's a great product, we're not going to get adoption if the user experience is bad. I created a video product that for its time was groundbreaking. It created awesome quality videos and everything about it was amazing. But it was a little bit clunky because to create the user experience and the design from the interface side of things is very expensive. So I rolled it out a little bit early. And some people were very good about it and were patient and would work through it. Other people were extremely frustrated, annoyed, yelling at me in all caps. And the fact of the matter is, look, I spent $200,000 to develop this software that I was selling for 27 bucks. But the fact is, it was clunky in some regards, and so I understand. Another thing that is really important, and by the way, those kinds of things, user experience things, can turn people off in a way that it's hard to get them back. It really is. You have to really do a lot of heavy lifting to get those people back if you've lost them. So it's a lot more important to do the work up front and make sure that we're right. And the fifth element of this is lack of proper testing. And this comes down to, even if I'm not even talking software here, this could be an ebook or a video guide. If we're creating a guide on how to do something, we want to get people in there and test it to make sure that when they follow the steps, it works. If we're leaving big gaps in what needs to be done, or we're leaving out like links to tools or other stuff that they're going to need, people get very upset when they feel like pieces are left out or that there are things that are not explained clearly. And so if we're creating an ebook or a guide or a video course, we want someone who doesn't have experience in it and who isn't our friend, who doesn't want to hurt our feelings, to go through it and give us honest feedback. Is this good? Does it work? What should we change? Et cetera, right? If it's software, that's easy to test. You just get people in there, have them actually test it and rate various elements of it. Report any bugs they find, all that other kind of stuff. If we do that and we do 1 or 2 iterations of that up front, it will make the actual launch product that much more effective. And so we can get beta testers in before we do this, but that's what the purpose of them is to go through it, give us some reviews, give us some feedback, let us know what we can fix and what we can improve. So when we do thorough testing and we know what we've got, then we've got something that we can feel very confident in, that when we launch it into the marketplace, it's going to be effective. And again, whether it's an e-learning thing or software, the same rules apply. A 6th element, which is a little bit less common, but it's something important to think of in advance, especially for doing software. For ebooks and guides and things like that, this can get a little out of control, but for software in particular, is underestimating resource requirements. I'm notorious for thinking I can get things done faster than I actually can. And unfortunately, this is just a standard rule in software development. So the general rule from the inside, if it's something that you haven't done before, is you double the time any developer gives you. So it's like the old Star Trek when Captain Kirk would say to Scotty, how long is the repair going to take? Oh, Captain, it's going to take 4 weeks. And he's, okay, you got to get it done in 2. Like he always knew that he multiplied how long it would take, because that's a really smart way to do it. In software development, that's what we do. If we have somebody quote us it's going to take 2 weeks, assume it's going to take 4. It never is done on time. And if it is, it's never done right, so it always has to go back and do more. Double the cost for the same reason. If we're paying someone by the hour for the project and we think it's 2 weeks, it's 4 weeks, double the cost. In all of those regards, in terms of creating a guide or a course, it also usually takes a lot longer. The cost may not be different because if we're doing it ourselves, but our time investment is going to be different. If we underestimate that too much, we can run into trouble if we're on a really tight leash and a really tight budget. And particularly this is true when it comes to software, or if we preset a launch date for something, have everybody ready to go or have ads ready to go, and then we don't have the product ready to go. The 7th issue is a poor marketing and launch strategy. If we do everything else, we have a great product that people really want, it fills a need, it works well, all these other things are good, then we're in good shape, but we still aren't at the mountaintop because we still need a marketing and launch strategy that's going to work. Now, we may not have the goal to make 1 million sales in the first week, and that's fine. It can be a slow and steady strategy, but we need a strategy nonetheless. How are we actually going to sell this? It's not Field of Dreams. It's not like if we build it, people will come. They're not going to find us because we have a great product. We still have to get it out there in the marketplace. Are we going to use video marketing, social media marketing, ads, SEO? If we're doing anything where there's a tail involved in it, we're going to use affiliates to market it. We're going to use SEO. We need to start that now when we start the product development because it takes months to develop that stuff. If we're going to run ads, we might be able to start that in a week, create some creatives and start getting them out there. But we want to start we want to think through our marketing and launch strategy in advance. So if we need to get going early, we can. And we at least have a plan for how we're going to be able to sell this. We can't be so focused on the product development that we forget about the marketing. An 8th thing, and again, this is a little more obscure, but this comes to especially software and especially after we've launched, is scaling too quickly or slowly. We just need to make sure that we're prepared if we need to be able to scale with the resources and the infrastructure that we're going to need. So it isn't something to spend a lot of time on, but it's definitely something to think through. The 9th issue is insufficient market research and competitor analysis. Let's say that we've done everything else right, and let's say we get a launch that's off the ground and it's working. If we underestimate or we aren't aware of what our competitors are doing, it's possible that they will beat us to the punch in what we're trying to do. So we want to make sure we're at least aware of what the competitive offerings are. Now, if we're a very small sort of thing and we're just trying to generate a little side hustle money, less of an issue. We don't need to worry too much about that. If we're trying to create a world-changing brand or a disruptive brand, then the issue is we need to be very clear on what it is that we need to do and who our players are, who our competitors are, so we don't get stuck or punched in the mouth when we're not expecting it. So the takeaway here is that digital products, whether they're software or e-learning courses or whatever, can be a great way to generate online income, because once they're created, we can sell virtually unlimited copies at very little variable expense. So the more we sell, the more we make. But it's important to do it the right way. Otherwise, we may spend a lot of time and or money only to find that no one wants our product, or we're unable to find a consistent way to sell it. Thinking ahead and focusing on the value the user gets from it are the best ways to make sure that we can create a winner.